Peace, everyone. Yeah, man. Yeah, life, eh? I was reading this book today. It's by this author called John Swanson Jacobs. He was basically a slave um, back in the early 1800s. He basically escaped because he said, you know what, I can't live like this. I'd rather die. If I can't escape, I'd just rather dead. So long story short, another person bought him. He's kind of like one of them more pleasant slave masters. They got some sort of bond going, a mutual trust between the two, slave and master type thing. And the guy, I think it was a doctor that owned him. He basically wanted to take him on a trip. He was kind of like uneasy. He was testing the water with him because he didn't know whether he was going to like try and escape or not. John put him at ease. He was like, nah, you know, I'm not going to try and escape and all that. But deep down inside, he was like, right, this is my chance. Get off the plantation to where they were going. You know what I mean? It would have made it quite easy. Well, not easy, but he could allow himself with connections to get the hell out of there, basically. And get to the north and escape through the Underground Railroad. So yeah, I mean, you know, this this play acting carried on until they got to the place. You know, it was all a ruse from the start. But he's describing all what's going on, but he's kind of like borderline feeling guilty about not being honest with like the master type thing. So there's a little battle, kind of, you know, going on because he's like, well, you know, this master's like kind of cool type thing. Has been nice to me and all that, but then again, it's like, why should I be a slave? No man's born to be a slave. So am I really, you know, being deceitful? No. Do you know what I mean? So he's having to like snap himself out of it. It's like, ugh, you know what I mean? I'm like, you know, it's like get himself out of this brainwashing type thing. So, anyways, going along with, you know, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be a slave forever. That type of thing. You don't need to worry about me trying to escape. All the rest of it. So he escapes. He eventually escapes. He's having to leave his like sister behind and other loved ones. Sister's on the run. They think she's gone like somewhere far, but she's actually like close by. You know, so like it's kind of like a double bluff type thing. So she's in hiding close by where the plantation is. You know what I mean? Like kind of like living in a cage type thing somewhere. Because you know, she's having to be really careful because they basically said when they catch her, they're gonna make a real example of her to put fear into the rest of the slaves. So she's in dire straits type of thing, but she just can't bear continually getting raped and beaten and mistreated, and it's too much for the soul to bear. And like John's obviously had enough and whatnot. So anyway, another part of it is talking about this other family that's escaped. Um, they've started to make a life for themselves in this county up north or whatever, but obviously the bad-minded slave masters, they can't hack it. It's like, my property's gone. You're my property, you belong to me. You're less than a human. You're my slave forever. And your children are my slaves, and their children, and into eternity. And people are sick. Sick people. So they send out slave catchers. So they're doing their work, trying to find leads to try and catch these escaped slaves type thing. So long story short, they find where they are. So they go to apprehend them and all that, but this place obviously where they're living free, it's like an abolitionist, place. So they form like a wall of like 50 people around them. Right, and one of the slaves, or ex-slaves should I say, because obviously he's had it up to here, that comes out with a knife, and he goes, look man, if you don't go, I'm going to slice you up with this knife and make you my pudding. Now, I've never heard that before in the whole of my life. Someone saying, I'm going to make you my pudding, my pudding. You will be my pudding if you don't get the hell out of here. Yeah, that's a first for me. Yeah, that's some different type of anger. I'm going to make you my pudding. Wow. It just got me thinking, man, can you imagine it? Can you imagine the stress, the level of stress living in that time where there's no hope? And to make it worse, your children, and you knowing that your children's children are destined to the same fate, and you can't do nothing to protect your women. And the slave masters just got free reign over your wife, your sister, if she's there, your daughters, and they're just getting raped continually. One slave master he talked about, I think it was Knox or something like that. Knox or Knoxville, something like that. He had like 11 children. 11 children by slaves on his plantation. And he owned them. They were his slaves. He didn't class them as his kids. He classed them as his livestock, his slaves, to be sold on after he's dead, as part of the estate. What people, man? What level of devil is this? What mindset is this? What grade of devil is this? And like I always say, remember, these people had children, and then they had children, and then they had children. This mindset hasn't gone away. It's not gone away. In the 1930s, they used to have events, and people used to come from miles around, other parts of the United States, to go to stadiums to watch the lynchings of black people. And when they used to catch them, used to hang them, chop them up, sell their body parts. They used to send out postcards in commemoration for the event with pictures of these people who were mutilated. 30s. Not so long ago. You know, you had your civil rights in the 1960s and all that. That's not so long ago, man. You know what I mean? People are still getting lynched out there now. I remember an incident like 20 years ago where it was in the paper in England. They tied up one black man to the back of the car and just drove. There's hardly anything of him left. Just dragged all of his body, and all of his body's mutilated, getting dragged through the streets at speed. I'm sick. Some sick people in that country. The racism is unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. So can you imagine in them times the level of stress? You can't live like that. People hunting you down just because you want to live. You just want to live normal. And then once you got to the other place, they're still coming after you. And some people get catch and got taken back. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that feeling? Thinking that you've finally got yourself out of it and you've been out for a couple of years or months or whatever. Then someone catches you in the middle of the night and takes you back, or takes your children, or, oh God. What a state of affairs, man. No way out. No way out. This is where my people are coming from. My ancestors. My ancestors, man. They're passing on that stress down the line through your DNA. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we're a troubled people. You know what I mean? You're not coming out the other side of that sane, totally sane. Post-traumatic slave syndrome is what they call it. You know, we're not thinking the same after that. We're stressed. We're stressed people. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a miracle we're alive. Miracle we're alive, man. Prisoners of war from West Africa. Yeah, either minding your business on the beach or whatever, or in your village. Next minute now, slave catchers come, or another tribe overpowers your village, take you back, put you in slave holdings, and you're just basically waiting there to go on the galleys. You know what I mean? Being bartered by the chief that's in charge of the tribe that's captured your tribe. It's probably bartered you off for how many guns and whiskey or whatever, shells. And then there you go, that's you. Your destiny's changed forever. And your seed sent across the water, never to return. You know what I mean? We weren't slaves. We were people living our lives. Artisans, fishermen, builders, all the normal stuff. And then we got taken over and made into slaves through a process to make us into slaves and kill our godhood and our minds. We weren't slaves. We weren't swinging from trees. All of that's crap. The first slaves that were taken over from the English, 1555. John Hawkins. He went to East Africa first, snooping around there for 20 years, studying the original black man over there. See what made us tick. Then tricked us through the guise of friendship. Then once they were on the ships, it was too late. Took us over. And then put us under the process of slavery. And it took 64 years. Taking the children away from the parents, killing the parents, and then turning God into a slave. 64 years. This is where you get that game show from in America. The $64,000 question. I always used to wonder to myself, that's an odd number for a prize for a show. 64,000, what a random number that is. But it turns out it wasn't so random. They always tell you the truth in jest, sport and play, and jokes. They put it all in front of your face. So it was there all along. 64 years to make the first slaves. Yeah. We know what you did. And then they started to concentrate afterwards on West Africa. Some expeditions went into the interior, into the Congo and them areas. Some as far as South Africa, going all the way over into East Africa, taking slaves from there. And then making them so many weeks or months back to get over to the West Coast to send them over. Yeah, it was a big thing, man. It was a big thing. A lot of parties involved. A lot of our own people was killing us off, you know, and working with the slavers, the European slavers. So everyone was in it. It was a dirty, hot mess. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot to sort out within ourselves as well. Yeah, it was terrible, terrible interruption of our history as a people. Yeah, it just gets you thinking, man. When you're reading about that dark side of your history, it gets you thinking. What a time! What a time! Jesus. But yeah, John Swanson Jacobs. 600,000 Despots is the name of the title of the book. Because he gives a little bit about his own life as a slave, and then his eventual escape and whatnot. Because he went to work on merchant ships, so he went around the world. Then I think he ended up in Australia, and that's the only place where he could get his book published without being diluted. You know, he wanted people to tell it how it was, not brush over and dilute his story to not make it sound so bad. You know, and they did it in Australia apparently. Yeah, man, because he said, look, all of this slavery stuff's only going on because all the people are in it. You vote in these people to make these laws and to continue these laws. It boils down to the everyday people. It's like, you're the ones with the power. You're the ones that's voting, and you're keeping this in. And so you can't just blame the people at the top. You're all in on it. You're a nation of vipers. No, I mean, he's telling him straight. You know, you call yourself a godly nation. All you were devils, because you're all in on this slavery hierarchy, and you're keeping it going. Hypocrites, saying that you believe in Jesus and the equality of your fellow man, and you're treating us like this. Huh. Should be ashamed of yourself, and that's what he was saying. That's what he put in the book, you know. But other publishers didn't want that type of talk in there, but he eventually found one. And I think the book went missing for a few years, to be quite honest. I think it was someone randomly going through some archives in a old Australian newspaper or whatever, and they managed to find it, and then they put it back into print, type thing. So when I heard about that, I made sure I bought the book before it goes missing again. Get what I mean? But yeah, you got to read, mate. You got to read. Yeah, a lot of stuff that they hide from you. But yeah, that's enough. That's enough for today. Thought I'd share that with you. Alright, I'm out. Peace.